time can move so slowly, and in the distance I hear voices. Are they real or are they in my head? I'm lovesick. You got me lovesick, and I'm lovesick. You got me lovesick, and now I feel alive, feel alive, feel alive, feel alive, and now I feel alive. So many times they try to change me, and every time it drives me crazy. And all the good times we had saved me. Are they real or are they in my head? I'm lovesick. You got me lovesick, and I'm lovesick. You got me lovesick, and now I feel alive, feel alive.
Welcome everyone to the Music City, where today the attention turns away, of course, from the musical grooves to here at Nashville Superspeedway, where the Indy NXT field is ready to tackle one of the fastest and most demanding oval circuits on the iRacing calendar. Of course, qualifying will set the grid, but at Nashville you always need to be careful of that safer barrier. Right, well, as always, I've got Seb alongside me. Sebastian Kinder joins me in the commentary box, and we were talking briefly in the pre-show, Seb, about, off camera, about how it might be more of a flat-out race than we originally thought, as today, of course, we run 75 laps or 100 miles.
Yeah, exactly, and I've done some bit of testing right before this race, and approximately these cars, they use 1 liter per lap. They have a 76-liter fuel tank, and it's 75 laps to do. So do the maths, Jack.
That sounds pretty flat out to me. I mean, of course, these cars will have, they don't have tyre blankets, so there will be potentially a little bit of argy-bargy on the opening couple of laps as we take a brief look at the driver standings in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Robert Ridgway, who is on pole position tonight, he is your championship leader, so it's a fantastic start for round 11 for Mr. Ridgway, who will start, as I say, from the pole position. But do be aware that may change, because as we said just now, those cold tyres may play a very big part in the opening couple of laps of this race. And as I said, with the safer barrier always mere millimeters away on the exit of especially turn number 2. But Seb, as we get the pace lap underway, please take us through the grid.
The starting grid for today's race, round 11 at Nashville Superspeedway. Robert Ridgway, championship leader, is standing on pole alongside number 8 of Brian Cross. In the rearview mirrors, they'll have Patrick McDonough and Tommy King. The The third row is composed of Chad Fellens and Salunki Sandor. Livio Mendoza and Volker Ulrich compose row 4. Row 5 is Michael Rosak and Eric Oliveira. Row 6 is Julius Brooks and James Thomas. 7th row is composed of Graham Kaysen and Jack Curry. Row 8 is Michael Handrysiak and James Smallwood. Row number 9 will be composed of James Andrews and Devin Anderson. Row 10 will be Christopher Smith and Michael Friesen. Row 11 will be Justin Erdmann and Justin Kleber. And the final row will be Nathaniel Steele and Toby Deck. Take it away, Jack.
As the pace car pulls away to the pit road, it's going to be Robert Ridgway from pole position. He gets the race underway, and it's green flag racing, 75 laps, 100 miles here at Nashville Superspeedway. And it's Robert Ridgway who leads the pack into turn number 1. It looks to be relatively easy going from the rest of the pack. There's no big moves being sent around so far that we can see, although there's a little bit of a clustering there in the middle of the pack. Who's that? That's one car completely down low. I have to get back to you on which car that is as we look now at turn number 4. Ridgway looking to take the higher line, and actually quite a few cars following him there. That looks to be maybe the line that we're going to be looking at tonight as the caution comes out already, Seb.
The number 23, it would seem. Let us see it stopped.
Michael Friesen with a meatball.
Michael Friesen.
So that, I wonder if he's clouted a barrier, and he's actually lost it.
Boom!
On the transition of 3 and 4, and I was saying about the cold tyres, Seb, and that seems to have caught him out way too quickly.
One warning, and then bam, it escaped. Yeah, this car can be quite funky on cold tyres, and we see poor Friesen got completely off guard here, Jack.
We saw from the onboard camera there, you can see he corrected it the first time it started to go, but then the car was too nervous, I think, and then obviously it snapped again, and that was the end of that. But as one thing that I didn't manage to get around to in the pre-race show was today's sponsor. This broadcast is brought to you by Jacob Collins, community manager for the Indy NXT Oval and Road Official Series. If you're looking to get comfortable and familiar with the tracks and car that star in the weekly Indy NXT Road Series, you can check out the 2-time iRacing USF 2000 Series champion Jacob Collins, his track guides for each and every week of the Indy NXT Road Series schedule, which covers all of the road courses you'll see throughout the Indy NXT iRacing Series as well. These include coverage of the Ray FF 1600, the FIA F4 car, to help drivers working with their way up the Formula ladder system. On iRacing, start with the car that they are most familiar with and work their way up to the Dallara IL15, featured obviously here in the Indy NXT competition. Guides for upcoming weeks drop every Friday, 9 a.m. US Eastern time, to give the drivers the whole weekend to prepare from the coming week. And that's a big thing. A lot of these setup shops and stuff don't really upload their laps until the Tuesday, but having early access to track guides, of course, helps out massively. If you're looking to help share iRacing Indy NXT information, voting for the Road Series for the 2026 Season 4 is of course now open. Check out the voting poll on the Dallara IL15 portion of the iRacing forums or in the stream description. Of course, feel free to join ongoing discussion related to all things iRacing Road to Indy in the IndyCar community Discord via the Road to Indy channel, likewise linked in the stream description. So with that out the way, and a big thank you there to Jacob Collins for bringing us today's broadcast, let's get back to the action here at Nashville, where we're still under caution, lap 4 of 75. And, well, if we thought that there wasn't really going to be a full push race, I think now with the caution, that gives drivers more than enough fuel buffer to really hammer this one home. Yeah,
right now, it's all balls to the walls. To the end. Now I'm very curious how these Firestone tires, how they can to degrade, because we're going to do a full stint check. So this will be very interesting. Reminder, we are on a brutal track for tires, Nashville Superspeedway. We also saw this a bit on Tuesday with the IndyCar Series Open. So let's see.
Well, as the pace car pulls off for the second time in 5 laps here at Nashville, it's still going to be Robert Ridgway, who puts his pedal to the floor. And we're going to go back to green flag racing, lap 4, or it's soon to be 5, I believe. Yes, there it is. Here at Nashville, Robert Ridgway manages to get about 3 lengths over McDonough behind, followed by Cross, Villeneuve, Sandor, the top 5. The number 1 car, the top seed in 5th position at the moment. This is the man in question. We're riding on board with him now. Did you spot something there, Seb?
No, it's just the paint scheme, a classic 1980s Benetton paint scheme. Although it's a cardinal sin to put a F1 scheme on an Indy car, so bad luck will fall on him.
Well, let's try not to add the commentator's curse to too many drivers here tonight, but I do agree the F1 liveries probably should maybe stay a little bit clear of their IndyCar counterparts. As my word, that was Villeneuve getting very close to Sandor's rear wing. We almost saw contact. Thank God those two have secure connections. Otherwise, we definitely would have seen cars going back around. But look at this. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars all in a very tight pack here as we ride on board looking back from Brooks in the number 12. That was, I believe, Kaysen behind, going a little bit wide through 1 and 2, catching a little bit of Aero wash, and that might be something that we overlook maybe a little bit too much in these Indy NXT cars because we cover so much. Ooh.
Okay, you're back live. You're back live. Well, as okay, so I don't know if they can hear us on stream, but okay, now they can hear us on stream. So Jack, in the meantime, while we are while Julien is trying to plug back all the cables, to all the people watching this, reminder, on Tuesday you'll find Justin Prince and Ewan O'Leary at the Virginia International Raceway for week number 6 of the iRacing INDYCAR Series Open, and we'll be at the Virginia International Raceway, so it will be a very interesting kind of race at the track that we don't usually go to INDYCAR. Now, Jack, I see some cars, so take it away.
Yeah, so I do really apologise on behalf of everyone here in the broadcast team for that little hiccup there. That was not something that we come across too often, but we are back on lap number 14. It is still Robert Ridgway, your championship leader, who heads up the field as we cross the stripe once more. Lap 15 now underway, and it's going to be McDonough and Cross the top 3 to join Mr. Ridgway. Those two, I believe, holding position, so we haven't missed an awful lot as we now look at Sandor under attack still from Villeneuve, who's going to go to the inside line. There's going to be some clear air down there for Villeneuve in the 16, so that should be a relatively easy pass, although he will have a little bit of an overlap, and Sandor will try to get the side draft back on him into turn number 1, but it's going to be too little too late, as Villeneuve in the 16 says, thank you very much, I will make progress up into the top 5, and let's get ourselves head on after Mr. King in the number 5 machine, although will it, as Sandor goes back up the inside, Seb.
Yeah, and as we see these two guys battle, I was expecting kind of like Monday, Jack, with a lot of pack racing, but these cars are getting quite distanced. So again, this Dallara IL-15, it doesn't produce as much air. Oh, that was a close one. They don't produce as much downforce, Jack, and probably what's happening is that they're quite handy on handling. So I guess setup works must be very important, and maybe it's why you see such disparity in the pack today.
I think that's exactly right, especially with, obviously this isn't unusual asphalt racing surface here at Nashville. I believe it is concrete slabs, but do correct me if I'm wrong, as this battle still completely rages on. Villeneuve is going to go to the inside of Sandor. These two do need to watch out, because as we look on board backwards, we've got, was there a little bit of contact there? Well, we definitely see a little bit there with the number 1 on the outside safer barrier. These two leaving no margin for error, using all of their entry fee and all of their funds that they used to buy this Nashville circuit here on iRacing, using and making the most of that. But look at this, you've got Mendonça and Ulrich behind in the 14 and number 4. They're going to join this battle soon enough, and that gap in front, as you say, Seb, that's only getting wider. So these two really need to sort of put their differences aside, I think, as we're now on lap number 20. Not too much longer to go in the grand scheme of things. As you say, it's only one stint. They really need to get their act together and maybe start working together.
Yeah, exactly, because they're already almost 2 seconds behind the lead pack, also while battling. We saw on Tuesday again on this channel, this track, if you start battle too hard, bad things can happen. We saw Kevin Burrell, and I forgot who the other car was. They were fighting for the lead, they were fighting too much, and that costed them big. So they need to watch out for that.
This is a beautifully timed run from Thomas in the 19, almost catching Rozak off guard in front. That was almost a fantastically timed maneuver. He's going to try and go higher up, and I believe he will get the run again, because Rozak in front was trying to follow the number 13 of Oliveira, in front. This is this trio here, and it's going to be Thomas again, who tries to go a little bit higher and get that run. Hopefully he can time it better this time, but it's actually going to turn our attention to the battle that is just in front of this. And can Oliveira hold on in the number 18 machine? It looks like he can for the moment, but Seb, for the large by and large here, from what I'm being able to tell, is you can get really close to the car in front and you can get an overlap, but actually sealing the move and getting it done is a lot more difficult than maybe what it should be.
Yeah, because, reminder, you don't have all the tools that the Aero 18 has. You only have the ARBs, you don't have Wayjacker, you don't have the hybrid system to give you a little push. So it's a bit tougher. And also, since these cars are kind of underpowered, yeah, it's not that easy, especially lacking the grip that these guys must have today. And also, shout out to Oliveira with the players' paint scheme, red gloves rule.
As we now ride back on board with James Thomas, you can see there the overlay, which is brought to you by Andrew Schulte of SKS Graphix. Absolutely fantastic job that Andrew has managed to do for us here at the Velocity Online Racing Channel, providing us with these fantastic insights as we ride on board with James Thomas. And speaking of onboard cameras, they are done in-house by our very own Julien Altena, who's on the switchboard tonight for you behind the scenes, bringing you all of these fantastic camera angles, which he's managed to get himself from Track Cams 22. These are all fantastic partners that we have accumulated here at Velocity Online Racing to give you the broadcast angles and the action-packed races that you can sit back and enjoy from the comfort of your home device as we ride on board here with Rozak in the 18. And what I want to point out here, Seb, I mean, I'm no Indy NXT specialist, but compared to the steering angle that these guys were putting on lap 1 and 2, we're now sort of reaching almost 90 degrees of steering lock through these corners. That's quite a lot, considering we were probably 20 degrees maybe at the start.
So I guess the right front tire is really struggling today, Jack. Yeah, with cold tires, it was kind of slidey, but it seems like this car is quite tight around this place if they're putting more steering wheel. So they will have to kind of like soften the front ARB to get more turn in. But maybe these guys are already at the softest point. So, oh boy, I am and now looking forward to the end of this stint. Well, the tires will be absolutely done.
I think that's probably where setup will be a big part of this, as I think Ridgeway has been definitely playing and pressing some buttons here on his setup of his IL-15, because he seems to be more than comfortable out in front compared to those behind, which almost look to be struggling a little bit more. I believe there could well be some drivers out there, more than we think, that could be running the stock IndyCar, not IndyCar, Indy NXT setup that iRacing will give you. But then I'm sure there are a good few drivers out there that are also either running their own setup or one from a shop. And trust me, it definitely makes the difference when you're competing at the highest levels of iRacing competition. Every little bit can help you. As we ride now back on board with Thomas here, I believe this is James Thomas, sorry. The live timing that I've got on the left hand side of me says a different driver is on board, so that is my mistake, but he's sat here in the 19 machine, still behind Rozak. These two still locked in battle, Seb.
In front. Yeah, in front. I think that was Oliveira that clipped out of the apron and kind of lost the rear, so that's a shot for the guy behind him, Rozak.
Rozak's going to take full advantage of that up the inside in the number 18, but can he keep it down? He can't quite. Oliveira's going to get the run out of the corner. He's going to try and diamond this one off as they go side by side down into turn number 1, but it's going to be Thomas to try and get involved as well. Now it's going to be 3 instead of 2. It's going to be a 3-way party here, as now Oliveira is going to lose the place to Rozak, and will he lose it to Thomas as well, who finds himself on the outside line. It's going to be side by side once again, but Oliveira is going to slide up in front of Thomas, gets loose on the exit of 4 for good measure, and is just about going to keep that place. And I think that the circuit and the way that these cars are racing is helping him just a little bit more than I would have thought, because I think he should have lost that place to Thomas there after that moment, Seb.
Yeah, and Oliveira is very has very shallow edges. He enters the corner very low in the middle of the track. That doesn't help his tires nor his exit speed. Here's a bit better,
definitely starting to suffer from some tire wear as he clips the apron almost just about there. He's getting very close.
And that's why he's getting such bad runs. Oh, I didn't like that kind of blocking entering frame 4. Yeah, that's why he's in trouble so much. He keeps clipping that apron in 1 and 2, and that's why he got overtaken, and now he's under the threats of Thomas.
Yeah, James Thomas needs to be careful here, because Oliveira is going to defend this one with his heart, his life, and some, by the looks of it. So he needs to definitely time this one perfectly, and with how tricky it is to pass regardless around here, it might be a little bit too much to ask for the moment, but if he manages to look after his tyres, that passing will become a lot easier, as this is another battle that we've got going on further down the field. This is between Kaysen and Anderson, the 15 and 17 cars. This is going to be for, I believe, 14th place. 14th place this is for. Lovely livery actually there on the number 15 machine. That's quite a colourful thing. That definitely will stand out, doesn't it?
It is kind of colourful, so kind of like reminding of the old Apple paint scheme in the 80s for Porsche.
Yes, very much so. They actually ran they ran that sort of retro livery for Long Beach in the IMSA series this year, didn't they?
Yeah,
that was a cool one. Remember seeing that, but we're not at IMSA at the moment. We're in IndyCar, so we need to get back to this action.
Hey, halfway point.
Oliveira, as we cross the halfway point, exactly, the halfway point reached, and it's still Thomas struggling to get past Oliveira. I think he might need to maybe just focus on looking after those tyres a little bit more than he is at the moment, and hope that the pace drops off from Oliveira in front. I don't know. What would you do in this situation?
Right now, I'm just trying to build a run, because I look at Oliveira, and he's not exiting as close to the wall as he should be in 1 and 2. So if I'm the guy behind him, I need to kind of cut across his lines and make sure to build the momentum so I can pass him in 3 or 1. Kind of like that. Case proven. Anderson still defending. I don't know if it's on mine. Do I have issues or not? Okay. Okay, so it seems like I'm on my own and I see kind of moving in for position for Thomas. Yeah, no, that's King, the number 5 King. Why is he dropping down the order? Is he in the pits? He is. Pitting, interesting.
So I wonder what this is going to be from King. I mean, we'll have a look at a replay here, and he comes into the box. It doesn't look like there's damage on the car when he was going down pit road, does it? But no. Maybe he's done a short fuel, or he's got a bit of damage.
So he was pitting. That was his intent to pit.
So I wonder if there was contact with a barrier. We'll watch him through 1 and 2. It can get very tight on the exit here, but no, he's miles away from the safer barrier. Maybe he's decided to go half and half on the fuel strategy in this one, which could work, but unfortunately it is just one stint long this race, so I don't think that would play into his hands.
And with Hockey into the pit lane, I wouldn't be surprised if he got a black flag, because that was a very funky pit entry.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that could be a race-defining moment as we look back to the front of the field, and this is the number 10, Robert Ridgway, a name that we have seen so often and so many times in the Indy NXT official iRacing series. Every Saturday he's in this official broadcast and proving why he's got so much experience here at Nashville. 5 seconds now clear of McDonough in the number 24 machine, but it is still a battle going on for 3rd place between Villeneuve and Cross, and we'll get back to that fight rather quickly, but we'll look back at briefly at the Oliveira and Thomas fight there as well. This is now the fight for 3rd place. Cross just behind Villeneuve.
This is impressive how Ridgway has now a 4.7 lead, so today it's a bit about who was also
as they come into turn number 3. I believe Seb is having a couple of problems, so I do apologise for that as these two continue to fight over 3rd place. And Seb, I believe, is back now with us, so I'll hand it back to Seb, who is maybe now not with us once again, as we now look back at these two going through turn number 2, and they are nose to tail, aren't they? They're really, really trying to catch Ridgway out in front, as the gap, I believe, is pushing more towards 5.3 seconds now, I think it is, on the timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen. But these two deciding to work together. I believe that Villeneuve could decide to go for that move into maybe turn number 3 or turn number 1. I would have thought, if you can get the run right onto the front or back straight. But McDonough is managing to hold himself out in front rather firmly, but they need to look at Sandor behind, because he is looking at joining this fight, as well as Mendoza in the number 14 machine, as we now look back once again to that fantastic liveried number 15 of Graham Cross. He's going to be all over the back of Brooks in front, I believe that is, in the number 12, and it's going to be very, very close between these two. They're going to follow each other all the way down into turn number 3. Dives to the inside line, does Kaysen in the 15. Can he clear the number 12 by turn 4? Yes, he can. It's going to be +1 for Kaysen up into 13th place, but Brooks is going to try his luck around the outside. He's not going to quite get there, but can he tee up the run into turn number 3, Seb?
Negative is a bit too far, Jack. That was how you need to pass here. You need to do that slide job, get under it, and you need to go up the track right in front of your prey. If not, you're in big trouble. As Anderson, I think Anderson was in quite a lot of position there.
Yeah, he lost a couple of places there. This is a replay of Ulrich in the number 4. Is it going to be
contact?
Oh, yes, it is.
Right.
That's going to be a hefty knock against the safer barrier on the outside, and will that give him some steering damage? How sensitive are these IL-15s of your knowledge?
I'd say, yeah, that's the right front being bent, probably.
he needs to be careful that he doesn't get a meatball from that, because so often you can get some wheel damage. And so the caution actually now comes out. And is that Anderson that we saw dropping down the field a couple of moments ago? I'm sure we'll get a replay of that, but the caution will come out on lap number 53 of 75 here at Nashville for the Indy NXT iRacing Series. We'll have a look, and that's the 15 machine that is now in pit road. I dread to think that that is who was involved. Oh, yes, it was.
In the wall. Tight. That I don't know who that was, but that was scary.
Yeah, he gets a clout on the rear end for good measure, doesn't he? Kaysen on the run out of turn number 4 just hits the bumps and gets an incredible amount of understeer, and then gets a massive clout from behind once he's met the wall. I'm not quite sure who that was. It was the driver behind the number 12, and that was a massive netcode moment. I think he didn't actually get any damage from that. I think that was all sort of netcode that sorted itself out once again. But unfortunately, smashing into the safer barrier, yeah, you're not going to be getting away with that one from netcode, are you?
Nope.
So that is...
and they could give it away.
Yeah, exactly. But that's going to be such an unfortunate ending for Cross in the number 15, who's he was having some good fights throughout this one, from what I could believe, as this is the race leader. Robert Ridgway is in the pits. What is this about?
And he was one of the rare guys to pit. Now a lot of cars, nearly half the grid, Jack, decide to not pit, stay on these older tires. I don't know if that's a good move.
We'll have to... well, obviously Ridgway has the belief and the confidence that he'll be able to scythe through this pack, but he's playing a dangerous game, isn't he? He's got just under 30 laps to try and get it done. And as we've seen so far in this race, at least when you're on the same age tyre, it's very difficult to pass. And I believe the safety car has come into pit road, has it? No, it hasn't. We're not going to go green just yet. The pace car is going to stay out for one more lap around this Nashville Superspeedway, and this time it's going to be McDonough who is going to lead us to the green flag ahead of Felens, Ulrich, Rozak, Oliveira, Hendrisiak. Please do correct me if I'm wrong with that pronunciation. Brooks, Ridgway, Steele and Smallwood, the top 10, who actually gains a couple of places because Steele is dropping down the order rather quickly in the number 7, and I believe that could be another pit entry for him as well. We'll have a look, but it's going to be, yeah, as I say, McDonough who is going to lead us to the green flag. And hopefully what these guys can realise, Seb, is that they sort of need to work together if they're going to hold off the inevitable hard-charging number 10 of Ridgway in that number 10 machine.
They have a clock above their head, because I'm going to tell you, already on the same tires, Ridgway was miles ahead of everyone today. Now imagine with new tires, although watch out, cold tires, they can be quite deadly on this car. That means that Ridgway will have one or two, like a couple of laps not at full speed, so let's see.
As the pace car comes off and McDonough actually decides to go super early, he's going to get a massive gap over Felens and Ulrich, who manages to stay extremely close to the second place machine of Felens. They're going to actually go side by side through 1 and 2. We look back from the race leader and we're actually going to see a swap of positions, I believe, as the number 11, or the 16 rather, loses out to Ulrich, which is actually not what's happening. It hasn't swapped over on the live screen. Sorry, they're two lapped cars, as Rozak is extremely far behind in 4th place. I don't quite know what's going on. No, but Ulrich does actually get past Felens briefly before losing the position. And we look back down now at the battle for 11th place. This is between Erdmann, Sandor and Mendoza. This is a massively close fight, as Seb. This is going to be all over the place, isn't it? This is going to be nip and tuck here for the back end of the top 10.
Especially if we have lapped cars mixed with the field. That's going to be chaos.
That's going to be extremely all over the place. We will have cars on new tyres, cars on old tyres. As we look at Sandor here, he is on new tyres along with Cross in front, Mendoza behind. So those three are all on new tyres. And then you've got a lone runner of Justin Erdmann. He hasn't stopped for new tyres in this one. And then pretty much everyone from there on to the back of this field has in fact stopped. To keep you updated, the top 7 haven't stopped, so they're on old tyres. And Robert Ridgway up into 8th place is the leader of the stopped cars. So we almost need to just stay on board with this man. As we look here, he's going to go 3 wide to the bottom, and he's going to pick up 2 places. Is he into turn number 1? I think he managed to get it done because he has the run just about, but he's going to have that grip and he's going to find his way past Julius Brooks. That is going to be like taking candy from a baby, Seb, isn't it?
Yeah, but only 16 laps to go, so you better get a move on. Now, fresh tires. Now, they must be up to temperature now. Fresh tires, light fuel. So let's see how it goes.
He's already all over the back of Herdisiak in front. This is
That's
going
King,
to be...
actually.
Oh, it's a King.
Lapped car.
A lapped car. That is my apologies. Do forgive me for that, but he's going to be all over the King nonetheless. He's going to actually get the overlap into turn number 3, and once again I believe it should be rather easy pickings for our championship leader to get past the lapped car. Obviously blue flags aren't in effect here. King can fight this one as much as he wants, and will he look to the inside? He has a look, doesn't he, Seb? I'm not quite sure whether he was wanting to play with fire there or not, but that may be something that could hinder Ridgway on his progression through the field, although we pan back to him now and he gets around the outside of Hensiak, and he's already on the quest for Eric Mestica Oliveira, who is going to... Whoa, that was close, wasn't it? It's going to be the outside line once again, and he can pretty much just drive around the outside of these guys, can't he? Because he has that fresher set of tyres.
Exactly. Now we have these two guys who seems to be teammates battling for the lead. I don't think that's a good call to be battling, to be bickering, guys, especially when you have a 4-second lead over a guy that is on fresh tires and charging hard. Oh boy, that was scary from McDonough.
Yeah, there's going to be no love lost between Fellens and McDonough through turn number 3 and 4. They go. They're still going to be side by side, and rightly so, rightly said, Seb. They've got a 3.8 second lead now over a man that is very, very knowledgeable with this car and knows what he's doing, and worst of all, has fresh tyres, only 11 laps old for Ridgway, whereas these guys are on 65 lap old tyres. So these guys need to sort of maybe put their differences aside a little bit and maybe start fighting with 3 to go rather than 11 to go, because I could see if this keeps going on, Ridgway could be right back in this, and for him, he loves this. He really wants this to carry on.
Yeah, or if you're Ridgway, like, you want a caution. If a caution comes down now, this is bad news for the top 4.
It is extremely bad news. It's going to be bad news for those like, as you say, Dono, Felnes, Ulrich, Rozak, and then Ridgway up into 5th place already. 2 seconds. The gap is now 2.7 is the gap back to Ridgway. You can see him almost there in the background. The darker coloured car at the end of this sort of... Oh no. This is going to be nightmare for the top 4.
It.
The caution comes out with 9 laps to go, and the rest of the pack are basically checkmate, game done. Ridgway making the stop, and
oh boy,
that's a nasty bit of contact there. And does he slide back up into the racing groove? This is Smith. I believe this is just before. Who's that in front? He's going to go to the inside line to almost let him past, and. Is this going to be... Oh, guys. Guys, there...
That is... protectable. Net code, but man, there was no need to turn this aggressively from Toby. I know I have a certain track record with Toby Deck.
Well,
But why do you steer so aggressively, my man?
I mean, well, we've covered Toby in a fair few races beforehand, and well, you can see the amount of understeer he's got there. That's obviously quite a lot of frustration there from the number 11, taking it out on the steering wheel. And is this sort of if I can't keep ahead, no one can, sort of, I'm going to turn into let the emotions get the better of me, sort of thing. I mean, maybe he wanted the caution, and I don't know. You can speculate all you want, but nonetheless, that's not what we like to see there from Toby.
So, reaction of McDonough and Fellens when the caution came out. Fuck.
Yeah,
that's what they said, and I'm sorry for the swearing. But this is exactly what they said, because now they know they have a hard charging someone that is cleared above them, now closer, no lap cars in between, so Ridgeway will be just dogfighting those 4 cars in front of him to take that win away.
Yeah, so the reason why the top 4 haven't come into the pits is because they're practically pinned, okay? So if they stop, they will be way at the back of this field, so they'll be looking at rejoining the race in around 20th position. And the reason why they didn't stop earlier on when the number 10 did was because they thought, okay, this might be the only caution, but we can nurse these tyres to the end, and we'll manage that gap that we'll have to the likes of Ridgeway on the fresh tyres. And we are banking on the fact that there's going to be no more cautions, but unfortunately it's not gone their way today, and another caution has come out, and of course they can't pit because, like I said, they'll be down in 20th place, and with 6 to go, there's not really any physical way that you're going to be making that much progress up the field so quickly, when it took Ridgeway about 30 or so laps to get to where he is now in 5th place. So this is going to be a very interesting finish, but do expect Ridgeway to have the edge in this situation. As you can see there on the left-hand side, you can see when everyone was last in the pits. But Donahue 0, Fellens 0, Ulrich 0, Rozak 0, Ridgeway last pitted, lap number 54. So the lights are going to go out on the pace car. It's going to be the number 24 for the second time today that's going to lead us to the green flag. It's going to be Fellens, his teammate and rear view gunner, in second place, who's going to follow him to the green stripe. It's going to be 5 to go once we cross the line here. It's going to be 5 laps to decide it all here at Nashville Superspeedway, and Ridgeway is going to make the most of this from the 5th place position in the number 10. He's that orange and black machine that you can see all over the back of Rozak. He's going to go to the outside line. He's not quite going to get the run.
Yeah, look at the run he's getting.
Look at the grip. He doesn't need the run. The grip's going to more than enough do it for him, and he's almost going to clear the 18 in before turn number 1, Seb.
Yeah, exactly. Fresh tire, still kind of fresh tires and a light car. That does wonders for a car.
It's almost like a qualifying run here for Ridgeway with the amount of grip and the amount of weight that's in the car. This is a little bit of a tussle further down the field. This is going to be Justin Erdmann trying to get in amongst the action. He's going to be ahead of Justin Kleber, Nathaniel Steele and James Thomas. That's going to be a massive scrap here for the likes of 14th place, as we now look at Brian Cross trying to defend from Julius Brooks to come home in 7th place. But look at that gap at the front. Ridgeway is now going side by side with Ulrich. He's going to get the run around the outside, and he likes that move, doesn't he, Seb? He likes around the outside of turn number 4, and these 2 in front need to start taking notes with 3 to go.
Oh! And that's game over!
What a save from Ridgeway! Yeah. Oh my word, that must have been a full 180 degrees of opposite lock there from the number 10, but I believe, as you say, that could be a race-defining moment.
It is a race-defining moment because he has no chance to win now, and he got kind of a bit ahead of himself, turning a bit early, although that car on the inside was kind of low. Ulrich was
He's going to go back to 5th place. Sorry, excuse me. He's going to find himself now in 4th place after getting through the middle of those two behind him, and it's going to be a chase, but it's the final lap, and I don't think it's quite 24. Going to be enough as Patrick McDonough, the number 24, comes out of the last corner. No stops was the way as the 24 takes, I believe, his first win of the iRacing Indy NXT Series. It's going to be his teammate Felens in 2nd. Ridgeway is going to come home in 4th, just behind Ulrich, who completes the podium, but you can see there the speed that Ridgeway is taking on the cooldown lap. He's not a happy bunny.
No, and to be fair, that decision to pit came to bite him. And at the end, he just ran out of time. And even then, even without that contact, Jack, 2 laps for getting by these 2 cars of Felens and McDonough would maybe not have been enough.
It was a very, very valiant effort, to say the least, and we thought that he'd pulled a strategic masterclass, didn't we? But unfortunately, the contact there really sort of putting an end to Ridgeway's pursuit of that win, I will say. But any last thoughts on what was a really interesting and strategic race when we didn't really think there was going to be one, Seb?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the strategy was brought by the cautions. What we saw also was very different from what we saw on Tuesday in the Open IndyCar, iRacing IndyCar Series, with a car that was tough to drive on this track. It was tough to drive. The setup played massively, as well as driver's skills. And when you combine with a few cautions and people decided to throw the dice and not pit, we got that wonderful race we got today.
That was, I believe, that was a fantastic Indy NXT race. My first at Nashville, but without any later delays, we'll get into the results for you. It's going to be Patrick McDonough who's going to win here for round 11 at the Music City Grand Prix at Nashville, followed closely home by his teammate Chad Felens, who brings it home in 2nd in the 16 machine. It's going to be Volker Ulrich who completes the podium ahead of a no doubtably very disappointed Robert Ridgeway in the number 10, who just missed out on the podium after a fantastic strategy throughout this one. It's going to be Michael Rozak in 5th, ahead of Michael Hendrisiak. Please do, again, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. Brian Cross is going to come home 7th, ahead of Julius Brooks, Salanki Sandor, and James Smallwood.
The following the rankings in 11th will be Livio Mendonça, ahead of number 2 Justin Erdman, Justin Kleber, so 2 Justins following in 13th. Justin Kleber. On the 14th position, we'll have Nathaniel Steele behind in the number 19 of James W. Thomas. In 16th place, we'll have Eric Mesquita Oliveira. Tommy King will finish in 17th, ahead of Devin Anderson. Christopher Smith will finish 19th, and Toby Deck completes the top 20.
And then to round out the last page, it's going to be James Andrews, Jake Carreri, Graham Kaysen, and Michael Friesen. All, I believe, the bottom 2 were retirees from this one. And that's going to be how they stacked up at the end of 100 miles here at the Nashville Superspeedway. And my word, that was a race that I think brought a lot more action than we would have thought. But before we let you go, I want to give you a brief update of what's to come on the Velocity online racing channel ahead of us. As you look to the bottom right of your screen, it's going to be the Indy Euro Series on the 22nd of July. That's going to be at Portimao. This is all in Central European summertime, so that's going to be 8:30. And then a week later, Mugello again at 8:30 Central European summertime. VOR Race Day. It's going to be a new series for the Velocity Online Racing Series. We're all looking forward to that on the 1st of August. That's going to be accompanied by the Indy NXT Series by VOR at 5 o'clock. And then obviously the VOR race day gets underway at 8 p.m. IndyCar Challenge, that's going to be on the the International IndyCar League, not IndyCar Challenge, excuse me, is going to be on the 2nd of August at Daytona. That's going to be a fantastic one to tune in for, and then that's followed again by the Indy Euro Series on the 5th of August, this time at Charlotte. Well, that is plenty to look forward to over the coming few weeks here on the Velocity Online Racing channel. If you have liked this broadcast and enjoyed what we do here on the Velocity Online Racing channel, please make sure to do all of that good YouTube stuff and smash that like button, do all the notifications, subscribe, comment your favourite IndyCar livery or something like that. And the next IndyCar NXT Series round will be August 8th at Portland International Raceway. I think this is one of iRacing's newer additions that I'm a massive fan of, and I believe this will provide some intense street racing action. But I have been Jack James, alongside me has been Sebastian Kinder, and on the switchboard, as always, is Julien Altena. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time out at Portland. So for now, it is goodbye and enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you later.